on in YouTube. Hope everyone's good. Now, I've just had a conversation with Trilla on Trilla's channel. Now, I will put a link to the video. I think he said he's going to keep it up a day or two. Now, it's hard to know where to start really. Now, anyone that's been listening to Trilla for the last few months or whatever will be aware of a couple of things. Now, the first conversation myself and Trilla had on his channel was off the back of Trilla saying that I was far right and racist. Yeah. So it's one of them. I could have took it as a throwaway comment or whatever, but I thought, no, do you know what? I'll go and see what he's got to justify his claim or whatever. Now, since then, we've had several conversations on his channel. Now, Trilla says some of it was method acting and some of it was real. Now, I have told Trilla tonight, you know, I have recorded the conversations that we've had, etc. And because obviously certain things that have been said along the way could either be method acting bullshit or the truth is true thoughts and feelings, opinions, etc. Because it's unsure territory now, because he's tried to spoon feed the narrative, oh, it's just method acting, blah blah blah. Obviously it'd be a good idea to go over what was said along the way, and then maybe Trilla can point out what was the truth and what was not. Now, the game is going to be called Spit or Swallow. Are you going to spit it out because you think it's bullshit, or are you going to swallow it because you think it's genuine? Now, Trilla seemed to be a little bit triggered about that, to the point where either his finger slipped or he booted me off towards the end or whatever. Now, either way, regardless, we're going to go over the previous conversations regardless. Now, me personally, like I've told Trilla tonight, I think personally that Trilla's just shook. He's been threatened several times. Now, considering he thinks he's like, oh, I fooled the far right into thinking that he was one of us or whatever, it's only right that we go over the conversations and we try and discover which was the method acting and which was the truth. You know, the opinions that Trilla holds and has voiced, etc. Which do we believe is genuine and which do we believe it's something that you wouldn't swallow and you would spit out? Now, for those that do remember, and I think it'll be our first port of call maybe tomorrow if I get the time to run it as a premiere, is the discussion after Ghost was comparing Moham Singh to Tommy Robinson. Ghost wanted to point out the similarities and even racism, he said. Now, Trilla believes, or would like you to believe, that he's infiltrated and pretended to be something that he's not, blah blah blah, this, that and the other. Now, you will notice a pattern. Only when it's his people, his Sikh community, does Trilla have anything to say? Even that, to be fair, I had to kind of prompt that out of him. It weren't coming freely or whatever. I had to ask him, and then it become conversation, etc, etc. Now, while in that phase, maybe Trilla can ask or whatever, maybe he can cover it, I don't know. Now, in that period of time, Trilla received quite a lot of threats, a lot of intimidation, to the point where Trilla ended up saying some daft shit about chopping off people's heads outside of a fucking Gurdwara and all this. Now, the obvious question would be, where did those threats come? Where did they come from? Was it the far right? Was it the racists that you keep talking about or whatever? Or actually, is it the community of the Muslims which you like to cape for? Now, most of us already know the answer. You've had no threats from the apparent racist, the apparent far right. You've had no threats from them whatsoever, but yet you've had plenty of threats from the Muslim community. Now, you could say, oh well, the Duke is not a Muslim. Well, we don't know he is or he isn't, do we, realistically? We know that he's on a Muslim channel caping for Muslims tenfold what Trilla does. It seems to be a competition at the moment though between Iduka and Trilla, who can cape the most, which is pretty mad. But yeah, now, like I say, if I wouldn't have, pulled that out of him or whatever, I don't think Trilla would have said fuck all. Now, I'm going off what's been previously said. So when people like Killer K, when people like Raj and whatever have tried to wake Trilla up to, are you actually selling out your own people, and are you actually making other Sikhs look scummy? Do you know what I mean? That really should have been the wake-up call. If you can't take the wake-up call from your own people, your own kind, your own, people of your own faith, then that's pretty sad. It shouldn't have to be some white guy that has got no affiliation to any of your belief sets, don't believe in any mythical gods or mythical creatures or whatever. It shouldn't really have to come down to me having to prompt these things out of you, but that is the situation at hand or whatever. Now, like I say, I'm going to put out these conversations anyway, and we can sort of try and decipher as to what's bullshit, what's genuine. Now, I think, to be honest, we covered quite a lot of topics over the period of time. I think there is some genuine things that Trilla has said along the way, and it'd just be nice to get them confirmed or denied realistically along the way. Now, whether Trilla will want to play ball or not, I don't know, maybe not. See, I've always stood on the same position. I've never had to fucking twist and turn and squirm from one camp to another or whatever. You can speak to me on any channel and I will be consistent. I will stay exactly the same as I was saying from the beginning, the middle and at the end. It's been a line of consistency. Now, when you do that, realistically, you're showing people, you're displaying to people that you don't need to stand with anybody. You're quite happy to stand on your own 2 feet and your own fucking set of morals, and you've got a set of problems which you are willing to talk about openly, honestly, and bring the evidence to. Now, I get for people like Trilla that have to keep swapping and changing from one community to another, being shit on people and then having to go back. It's a bit battered wife syndrome, innit? Now, I'll be honest, and I have been honest with Trilla tonight. I don't think it does the Sikh community any good, Trilla fucking trying to make Islam that he seems to know fuck all about but wants to fucking cape for anyway. I don't think that does his community any good. Now, I have tried explaining this tonight to Trilla. If you're a random and you've never heard any of the whatever before, and you're just hearing the conversation for the first time, let's say Trilla on ghosts or whatever, it's not really a good look for Sikhs. And when you've got people which are probably not educated enough to know the difference between a Sikh and a Muslim, to the point where 2 Muslim women have been raped in a racial manner, telling them that they shouldn't be in this country, blah blah blah. I would have thought, honestly, that would have been a wake-up call to somebody like Trilla to think, well, when people are listening to us having these chats and I'm calling white women white slags, white sluts, generalising all white people into all sorts of madness, is that actually lumping the Sikh community and the Muslim community, which have committed the most heinous fucking acts, from terrorism to the rape epidemic, which affects 82 towns and cities in the UK? Would that be a good idea, realistically? Now, my thoughts would obviously be no, that would be a terrible idea. And it's one of them, somebody like Trilla has got to be able to look at it logically and think, could I be adding to the problem and adding to people's fucking thoughts of, oh, they're all the same, whether they're Sikhs, they're Muslim, they're fucking Hindu, you know, literally all originated from the same place. There's very little difference between groups of people. You can look on paedophile hunters, there's fucking loads of Sikhs that have been caught messing with children, just the same as there is any other group of people. Now, people could easily come up with that conclusion. With Trilla saying and doing what he's doing, it's literally giving them ammunition to say and do that, and you're kind of justifying their thought process by doing so. Now, I've tried highlighting this to Trilla tonight, but yeah, he seems a little bit like he didn't want to face up to his own words and actions. Now, I'm perfectly happy to be held accountable for my words and actions. Like I've said to many people along the way, yeah, you've stated I'm a racist or whatever. Can we now see just one example of me being racist? The problem is they always fail because there is no examples of me doing so. Now, after giving people, encouraging people who wish to tie you in a certain brush, whether that be racist, far right or whatever, after encouraging them to bring forward just, you know, one bit of evidence of me being racist, a couple would be nice, but just one. After that fails to happen time after time after time, bear in mind it was only the other week that Becca, because angry, decided she was going to call me a racist, and then within 2-3 minutes had to retract that. It's easy to just dish out labels, but it's a lot harder to bring the evidence if there isn't any in it. Now, I despise racists, I despise terrorists or terrorist fucking sympathisers. Now that can be from any walk of life. Like I say, I've got a multicultural family, and that shit just would not be acceptable on any level. I've confronted the far right, the actual far right. The thing is, when you just randomly calling people racist, I explained this to Becca a few weeks back. When you just slapping them labels about willy-nilly, you're literally taking the power away from that word. So the word racism and racist, realistically now, means little to fuck all. People just think, oh yeah, we've heard it a million times. Nobody ever is at the end of it. It's just a stupid label that fucking idiots with no way of bringing you down like to try and bring you down with fake paint, some fucking racist paint or whatever. Paint you with this and see if that works or whatever. Now, you would only do that realistically when you think that your argument is not as good as their argument, and that's just a way of like deflecting it away from that to call you a label that you in no way, shape or form to be, etc. Yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. But it's not a new trick. It's a very old trick. It's very worn out to the point where now that word means nothing. So when somebody actually is racist, they can just bat it away and go, oh, it's nothing. You know, you've heard people say, people that are used as a benchmark, which Trilla tried tonight, trying to put the benchmark as fucking Jupiter or whatever, trying to compare me to that fucking pile of shit. Now, you could put a long fucking you know what I mean, a large fucking video of all clips and all sorts of shit of somebody like Jupiter saying and doing racist shit, yet there's none of me. So it is a bit annoying when they pull that shit out, and that's why I followed Triller over there. I thought, well, go on then. You know, fucking justify your claims, bring some evidence, show me where I'm far right, show me where I'm racist. Now, obviously, he's failed to do so over, I think we've been having discussions for about 4, maybe 5 months. And like I say, we've covered quite a lot of topics, so I'm sure it would have popped out somewhere. Now, do I confront ideologies head on, mercilessly, without fame, without favour? Yeah, I do that, and I'm loud and proud about that. But yet that's not a race, is it? Now, when anybody can join and leave a ideology, then we all know that there's no race element to it. If you can be black and join, and you can be white and join, and you can be brown and join. Brown's offensive, apparently. That was a bit weird. But yeah, if you're any colours of the rainbow and decide to join an ideology, well, there is no race element to it, obviously, because if all races are welcome, then there isn't a race element to it, is there? Much like Muslims seem to have ran with the thing of anyone that speaks out against certain things and whatever, they'll say you're a racist. Now, Muslims, again, sorry, but you're not a race. If anybody can join you, and there is people of all different colours, Becca is white, Jordan M is white, so again, there is no race element to it. So the labels that have been used have been misused for so long, to the point where those words now are irrelevant to the majority of the country. We just think, yeah, you're using that word to shut down a conversation. You don't like the conversation, so you've gone to labelling people to things that you know full well they're not, and there's no examples of. I mean, fair enough, if somebody is racist and you want to point it out, yeah, point it out or whatever, but come with an example, come with several examples, just to, you know, to wash your fucking point in or whatever. Now, I would always do that. I would always bring evidence of any of my claims that I wish to back up, because other than that, it's just my word, isn't it? You know, you could take my word as gospel, or you could take my word and think, well, you know, you've got a narrative, or you're just sticking up for group X, Y or Z. You could come up with your own conclusions, couldn't you? But if I come with evidence, then it's different, isn't it? I'm proving my point rather than just saying something. Now, with Trilla, I've been patient with him, do you know what I mean? There's no rush to any of these things or whatever. For me, it would be a win-win situation regardless, whichever way the conversations went or whatever. I would either be showing people, you know, you may have heard Trilla say certain disrespectful things, you may have heard Trilla say certain racist things, generalising, all kinds of things or whatever, which would be looked at in a negative light, obviously, for obvious reasons. The way I see it, I was giving him a decent chance to be able to show people, you know, take him out of the environment of all the other extremists and get him on his own and whatever, and see what he's made out of, really. You know, see if he's as bad as people are made out. Because I was told, oh, Trilla's basically the shit on your shoe, he's a Muslim fucking apologist, he's okay with the rape gangs, this, that and the other. I'm more concerned about white people, blah blah blah. I think everyone's aware of that. So I was willing to give him a chance, do you know what I mean? From justifying his claim with myself that I was a racist or whatever, to clarifying his own issues or whatever, which I think need clarifying. Now, when we first started talking, there was no Sikhs being raped by white men, but yet there are now, and there has been 2 cases now. Hopefully that 2 cases won't turn to 1 million, like there has been non-Muslim girls that have been raped in the rape epidemic, which has affected 82 towns and cities. Hopefully there will be no more cases of that or whatever, but if there is, it won't be on my conscience as to why these things are going on and whatever. It may well be on Trilla's conscience, because, well, you're literally pandering and bolstering the argument of the people which are not educated enough to know the difference between a Muslim and a Sikh, or a Muslim and a Hindu. Now, me personally, in this current climate where people are now awaking to the real Islam, what it actually means, how it will affect their children, their future generations, etc. I'm not being funny, but we've got many examples to look at and think, well, what has Islam brought us up to now? Terrorism, fucking jihad rape gangs, destroying communities. Now, when you think about it, so let's say one child has been raped and passed around like a bag of cheap sweets amongst the Muslim community and whatever. That's going to affect many people. That's going to affect the victim, the survivor. It's going to affect the family members, the wider family members, the friend circle, and so on, the local community as a whole. So for every time you do that, that ripple effect is reaching a lot of people, and a lot of people are now looking at things differently, let's say. Now, Trilla tried the thing of, oh well, you know, I don't know if Mohammed married a 6-year-old or if she was 9. I think she was possibly 15, 16, 18, along them lines. Now, I'm not an Islamic scholar, but nor is Trilla. But as Trilla openly said tonight, that he's never been to a mosque. He's been outside a mosque, but he's never been into a mosque. He's never been in and spoke to people. You know what I'm like. I've confronted plenty of people. I'll put a couple of links onto this video so you can see how upfront and honest I am at these mosques, speaking to Muslims and whatever. I'm very to the point and very blunt. I do that for a reason, because there is no wiggle room. We need to know the facts. We need to be able to separate facts from fiction. It is that simple. Now, people can like Tommy, hate Tommy, it's neither here nor there. Is what he is saying the truth, the facts, or is it bullshit and nonsense? Now, I've looked into it myself. I don't take anybody's word for anything. I look to the evidence, and very evidence-based. That's why I don't believe in mythical creatures and mythical gods, because there is simply no evidence to tell you any different, basically. Now, Trilla seemed to have booted me off or whatever, or his finger slipped, just because I was asking him a simple thing of, why is it none of these ideologies, why can none of the ideologies, the scriptures or anything explain dinosaur bones? Trilla was trying to come out with the Big Bang theory and trying to make out as if it was like, that's it, that's set in stone, that's factually correct, blah blah blah. But yet there's no evidence. That's why it's called theory. It's just a theory. There's no evidence to suggest that anything one way or the other is factually correct. Some things we may never know. Now, people are going to believe all sorts of shit or whatever. Me personally, like I say, I'm very evidence-based. If there's no evidence to bring you to a conclusion, it's just a belief. A belief can be anything, or it can be nothing, realistically. Now, I could believe in dragons or whatever. I can say, oh look, you know, there's this bit of evidence and they're in all these films and blah blah. Don't make it true, does it, realistically? Come on. Come on. Come on. Unless there's any evidence to show such a thing or whatever, it just comes down to belief, doesn't it? Now, people believe all sorts of fucked up shit, and that's on them, innit? Do you know what I mean? But you can't expect anybody logically in 2025 to believe in these mad cult things that only people in cults believe. it's not normal, realistically, for anybody to think that two people can have a baby without having sex. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in my mind. It doesn't make sense that Muhammad split the moon in half, which seems to have triggered Ghost a while ago when Bops pulled it out. He was just asking a simple question. Do you know what I mean? Just to test the waters of the delusion, I guess, or whatever. Do you believe that Muhammad split the moon? Now, it's one of them, isn't it? If they believe in every single word that book states or whatever, and they can't question it, which they can't, by the way, it leaves them in a predicament, doesn't it? To the point where you look mentally ill to the rest of the world. For people that don't believe in mythical fucking gods and mythical creatures, you just look mentally ill. And that's just me being honest. Now, that don't mean that they're not a decent person and this, that and the other. It just means that they've been brainwashed from a child to believe in some fucking mad mythical ideology. You know, you could have brought your kids up and told them, yeah, there used to be dragons, blah blah blah, or whatever. That wouldn't do anyone any harm. But when it is bringing harm to another group of people, or anybody that's not part of that cult, is basically to be attacked, to be had over, to be sex slaves of that particular cult, then it opens the door to, right, well, we need to critique it then, innit? If something's causing 1 million children to be raped, and the justification in that ideology comes from their very own scriptures, then that needs to be addressed. It is that simple. Now, myself and Trilla have gone over quite a lot of things over the period of time. Obviously, Trilla drinks, and I think he forgets half the shit that's been said and done. I know sometimes you may say it as a defence, like, oh, I just don't want to own it, so I'll just say, oh, I can't remember, I was drunk. All these things go against his ideology. He's not supposed to be drinking anyway. Now, like I say, do you know what I mean? Anybody on a platform and you're identifying yourself from X, Y or Z ideology, whether you're practicing or you're not practicing, or you like Ghost and you'll put that ideology above your family, children, whatever, but then claim that, oh, I don't really know much about it, that's why I don't talk about it. That don't make sense in my world. You wouldn't put something above your family. Yeah. You wouldn't put anything above your family unless it was literally, it was all you kind of thought about, put all your respect into, this, that and the other, built your moral set from, etc, etc. Even then, it's like, would you put that above your family, realistically, your fucking children, etc? I think that's a mad thing to do, personally. But again, I don't believe in mythical fucking gods and creatures. If you do, and you think all these things that have apparently happened, a fucking man that couldn't read has somehow managed to be able to split the moon in half, and the fucking sun would set in a muddy puddle, things like that or whatever, then you've kind of got to question why that might be. Is it the generations and generations of cousin marriages and low IQs, etc? Is that a factor? Very possibly. Yeah. Now you could apply that same logic to the Christian faith and whatever. You know, people of 2025, how are you contemplating realistically that a man and a woman managed to have a child without having sex? To me that don't make sense. Here, now. Now, this is why I don't, do you know what I mean? I can respect people that are like follow an ideology, support an ideology or whatever. To me, and I've said this from day one, if they're not bothering anybody and they're not harming any other people or any other group of people, do what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? You're not bothering me, you're not bothering anyone else. Crack on. If that's what gives you some sort of comfort, fine, you know, do what you're doing. The moment it crosses that threshold into harming other people and harming other groups, then you're going to get people's attention, and not in a good way. Do you know what I mean? There's good attention and there's bad attention. Islam has brought nothing but bad attention for the 1450 years that it has been around. Trilla mentioned tonight 56 Muslim countries or whatever. That was never the case, was it? So how did that happen? He didn't seem to want to answer that. He just wanted to try and flip it back and say, well, how many Christian countries in there? He googled it and then he went quiet. So yeah, it is what it is. If I was Trilla, that's what I would be thinking. Is Trilla a contributing factor to endangering the girls in his community? Because people could listen to Trilla on Ghost, shitting all over white people, generalising, just acting like an extremist Muslim, to be fair. Get in where you fit in, I guess. But let's say, you know, these things continue on, and then a couple of months down the line you've got another 50 girls that have been raped by white people in a racist manner. Is he going to think about it more then? Maybe when it gets to 100 or 500 or 1,000, or I don't know. Will it have to take to get to 1 million before Trilla actually takes a little bit of responsibility for his own words and actions? I don't know. Time will tell, I guess. Now, Tommy himself has tried to educate people as to the difference between Sikhs and Muslims. There is a massive difference. There is nothing in the Sikh ideology that would instruct its followers or justify its followers to commit any fucked up acts like raping children or whatever, whereas in Islam it's littered with them. There's 109 problematic verses. Now that's just fact. That's just fact. It's pretty obvious by the way that no Muslims wish to address the 109 problematic verses which promote racism, promote one group over another, hate speech, you name it. It literally degrades other people of other communities. Now, for those that know, the rape epidemic started in the UK with, firstly, the Sikhs and the Hindus, because at the end of the day they were seen as an easy touch, if you like, a minority within a minority, and the police was being stupid and putting it down to cultural differences and all this other bullshit. They were just scared of addressing the problem like they are doing now with all the other victims or whatever. Oh, we don't want to be seen as racist. It's not racist to point out facts and evidence from within their literature which shows its followers, yeah, you're justified, you can do this, you can do that, you can take what your right arm possesses, you can do what you want. Now for me it's just logical thinking. How do you address a problem? The first step would obviously be identifying the problems to be able to deal with the problems. Now if you can't identify them without some stupid little cunts calling you far right or racist, then how do you ever deal with the problem head on? To me it's just logical thinking. You look at the person at the top of the ladder, the person that's a code of conduct, and if that person's immoral and does fucked up shit like marrying children and chopping off 600 heads in an afternoon, and a warlord, and proud to be a deceiver to advance the ideology of Islam, which is just a gang realistically, you can only read the Quran and look at it as a war manual, nothing else. Now, if Muhammad is the code of conduct, and if he did marry a 9-year-old, get with her when she was 6 and marry her and rape her when she was 9 years old, if that's the man that 1.8 billion people that are male, well, half of that probably are male, if that's their code of conduct, realistically, and then on top of that you've got a police force which are too afraid to call it for what it is and make excuses for him like Trilla does, then you can only kind of like expect the problems that you're gonna encounter, that we have encountered. Now for me, I can't fuck about like that and pretend things are other than they are to suit somebody's, oh, we don't want to hurt your feelings, oh, don't want to damage your opinion. Fuck all that. When kids are being raped and kids are being blown up, you have to scratch beneath the surface, not give a fuck about anybody's thoughts and feelings and all this other fucking bullshit. You have to be genuine. Now, when I don't give a fuck about any mythological creatures or gods, I think I'm in a decent position to be able to do that without fear, without favour. Now, if there wasn't terrorism and there wasn't a rape epidemic, realistically, what the fuck would I be looking into Islam for? There would be no good reason. Now, don't get me wrong, if it was Sikhs committing these acts of terrorism and these acts of fucking deviancy on children, I would be at the fucking Gurdwaras as well. All your swinging swords round shit won't bother me in the slightest. It is what it is. You put our children in danger and you will fucking be questioned, you will be critiqued, you will be fucking having your ideology gone through with a fine tooth comb. It is that simple, because that's the most logical place to start. Now, that could be Christians, that could be Sikhs. It just happens to be Muslim. Now, when you've got nearly 200 types of people in the country and no other group besides one group have brought you a rape epidemic and terrorism, blowing up little children, you know, at a fucking music concert and so on, then it deserves your attention. It is that simple. The only people that would try and protect people finding out the truth and getting to the facts of the matter, you'd have to look at them sideways realistically and think, well, what the fuck are you about? Are you a paedophile? Do you like seeing little kids get raped and fucking blown up? Do you know what I mean? Cool. No. That's why I've bothered to have the conversations with Trilla. To give him chance, opportunity to show that maybe he's been seen in a bad light, maybe he's easily influenced by extremists, etc. So let's have your true thoughts, let's have your true opinions, and let's see what we think of you then, or whatever. Now, the fact that Trilla's had to go crawling back to that community which was threatening him, and threats to himself and other things and whatnot, you know, that's his problem. Does it make him look unsincere? Obviously. Does it make him look like a bit of a coward? Yeah, definitely. Seems to me like he's shook from the threats and thought he would maybe get a better reception from the right, if you like. Whereas a lot of people seem to want Trilla to say every single thing that they agree with. You know, you either agree with everything or you're still this, you're still that. No, I don't go along with that or whatever. Some of the things I've called out and backed Trilla up on or whatever. Trilla was saying Trilla was saying the demo that went on the 13th caused problems with unity, etc. And I agree. You know what I mean? I've been quite outspoken on that. Had a lot of people say, oh, you're not this, you're not that, you're fucking, do you know what I mean? These fucking fake patriots or whatever, which are, at this point, displaying that they are fanatics, if you like, have to believe every single word and can criticise nothing and can question nothing or whatever. I'm not about that. I'm not about that in any way, shape or form. I will always question things. If something's not right, it's just not right. It is that simple. And I will always call things how I see them. It is that simple. It's open for discussion. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to hear another point of view, etc. But yeah, I'm always happy to have an open, honest discussion, but you need two key ingredients, two honest people to have a discussion. Now, like I say, we are going to go over the previous conversations. People may not have seen them on Trilla's. A lot of people don't even bother watching Trilla's channel. Along the time that I've been having discussions with him, I've shared a lot of them. I've promoted his channel and whatever. Try and give Trilla a chance out of the situation which he's found himself in. Do you know what I mean? Attacking his own people and then sitting with this very same people that have gone to mad levels. I always said that. I can't see that Ghost has attacked Raj's family, sister with disabilities, this, that and the other. But he admitted it. Now Trilla must have been aware at the time that those things went on, but yet he still sat with him today. So what would you look at Trilla as realistically? A sellout to his own kind? Possibly. Certainly not the example. And to be fair, to Trilla's credit, he has said tonight and other occasions that he's not the example. He's not really a practicing Sikh, etc. Doesn't really matter. Once people know you as a Sikh, they're going to use you as their example, rightly or wrongly. Yeah. Rightly or wrongly, they will use you as an example. Now, like I say, once it's affecting girls in your community getting raped, I would have thought, realistically, you would want to put a fucking stop to that sooner than later. Not like you've already not been through it before, do you know what I mean? The police turned a blind eye to the rape epidemic that was going on to begin with, which was mainly Sikhs and Hindus. So they know the situation. They know the police are going to be no use to him. They're going to do very little to fuck all. And you're kind of going to have to deal with it yourself as a community. And they did. Do you know what I mean? A lot of them went to prison for doing so, or whatever. Taking big sentences. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. At that point, you would have thought every generation from there on, which Trilla would be included in, would be well on to that here now. But apparently he'd rather keep for the people, for the community that did it, which is just madness to me. Here now, get here. Fucking doing. Yeah. That's madness to me, do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's good and bad in every community, but in that particular community that Trilla likes to hang about in, they're not very sympathetic to the victims or the survivors, realistically, are they? And they're still trying to cover it up. Oh, it's nothing to do with Islam. Anyone that goes committing acts of terrorism, they're not Muslims. Well, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They're the type of Muslims that are following every fucking letter of that ideology to the letter. Here, now. The fuck do you think you're doing? Get here now or you're going on a lead. Here. Here. Go. Now, I don't get Trilla. I really don't. Let's run with the bullshit that Trilla is trying to spoon feed us now. That, oh, it's just a method acting, blah blah blah, this, that and the other. Well, if that is the case, how did it go? How did that little experiment go? Because all the threats that you got, all the shit that you got, came from the people that you're caping for now, didn't it? Now, I've always said that I think Trilla's reasonably intelligent, but is he, realistically? See, if I'd done that experiment and the side that was infiltrating treated me better than the side which was going to go back to or whatever, I'd probably have a second thought along that situation and think, is it a good idea to go back caping to the people which are giving nothing but threats, nothing but shit? Bear in mind, do you know what I mean, the topics which we covered, I think was handled quite respectfully, if I'm honest, by Trilla. a lot more respectful than he is with, say, the white community. You know, it's a bit of a mad one. When you live in a white country, your families come here for a better life, and I think we would all admit, including Trilla, that you would have a much better life here than in fucking India. Do you know what I mean? There's fuck all there. You could be rich in India, and realistically, what you're going to do? There's fuck all to have, fuck all to buy. It's just shit, innit? Shit upon shit. People are not coming here from all over the world because it's a fucking third world country, are they? Realistically. But if we carry on in this direction or whatever, it will become a third world country. Trilla's got to the point where he's quite happy sat on a Muslim panel shitting all over the people's country that he lives in. Now, that will be short-lived. That will be short-lived. I'd say a majority of the country will look at that situation and think, well, what's the difference between Trilla's lot and the Muslim lot? Because they're basically all saying the same shit. On particular panels, do you know what I mean? Not everybody's aware of like people like Seeks Awareness, even in the patriot groups. Do you know what I mean? Not that many people are awake to or supporters of people like Seeks Awareness, which do absolutely brilliant work. You know what I mean? They genuinely do care for the victims, the survivors, the family, and they will do all they can to help and assist them in fucking everything. Do you know what I mean? Trying to fucking survive. Not all victims survive. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people end up killing themselves and all sorts of shit. Trilla's actually divulged himself that in his community it's shameful to be a fucking victim of a fucking racist rape gang or whatever, which that adds to the problem realistically. If you can't identify things for what they are, it's too shameful, and things don't get reported as they should do and whatever, you're not really leaving people much other than having to deal with things themselves. And like I say, that's what happened. People would doubt out big sentences for doing so, and rightly so for doing it. Do you know what I mean? For the people that did it, I wouldn't call them criminal in my mind. It's fucking, they're doing the right thing or whatever. If the police won't deal with it, well, what you gonna do? You have to deal with it yourself, aren't you, as a community? And that will soon come around. Now, we've got examples of the Sikh community, we've got examples of the Muslim community saying that they would definitely take matters into their own hands if it affected their bubble, their family, etc. Now, like I said earlier on this video, the ripple effect when these things happen affect many people beyond the victim, beyond the survivor. And it's only a matter of time before people have had enough and think, well, the police ain't doing shit, they're literally turning a blind eye to it. They've admitted to 40 years plus of turning a blind eye to it and just letting it carry on and embolden itself to where we are now. Now, that will only carry on for so long. There's more people awake now than ever. People are going to have different thought processes. Some people are going to see Sikhs in a good light, somebody that you could be an ally with, etc. And some people are going to look at people like Trilla and think, fuck off, they're all the same, look at him. Do you know what I mean? So Trilla could well end up being very detrimental to his own community, and he would only have himself to blame. It's no good saying, oh, I was drunk. Do you know what I mean? That's not an excuse. Now, like I say, more people awake now than ever. People are waking up to the fact that you've been sold the bullshit of anyone that points out grooming gangs, jihad rape gangs, terrorism, whatever. You're just given this label, racist, blah blah blah. And in the meantime, more and more and more thousands of girls are being raped and passed around like a bag of cheap sweets. Now, as more and more people wake up, you can have different levels of people that are waking up. Some will feel like taking to the streets and protesting and standing outside places, hotels, this, that and the other. For me, yeah, the hotels, the influx of fucking migrants that have entered here illegally, yeah, it's definitely adding to the problem. But for 40 years plus that we're aware of, the problems came from people that was here legally, came here for, brought here by their family members for a better life, this, that and the other. And it's been them that have been raping people, children that are not part of their group, their cult, their ideology. And it's justified to do so in their fucking scriptures. Now, the more people that get onto that and wake up to that, yeah, there's going to be big problems ahead. You've got silly little cunts running around, oh, I'm English. No, you're not. Don't be fucking stupid. DNA itself tells you you're not English, you daft cunts. Well, a minute. If you're born in China, if you go on holiday now and you're born in China, does that make you Chinese? I don't think so. Pretty obvious. Seems to be down to the delusional lot that are in fucking one cult or another. Do you know what I mean? Now, the majority of the country, I know people are trying to make out, oh, it's a Christian country, blah blah blah. It's certainly founded on Christian values, but I don't think it's a Christian country by any stretch. Why people are using that, I have no idea. Now, if the Christians was people that you thought might be of use to leading something or whatever, or a good ally to have, etc. Yeah, okay, fair enough, or whatever. I still wouldn't stretch it to, oh, it's a Christian country. Do you know what I mean? We're a long way away from where Christianity started. For me personally, I think the fact that the majority of the country are not believers of any mythological creatures or gods should really speak for itself. Now, when you haven't got anything to fear from mythological creatures and gods, you can pretty much do what you want, what you see fit, what you see as right and wrong. So if it does come to a community having to deal with problems that are not being dealt with and are being ignored, etc., yeah, it will be people generally that are just looking at what's right and what's wrong. Is it right to let a cult mentality unfold in amongst your communities that are raping and blowing up children? Now, most people, no matter what colour you are, most people are going to look at that and think, well, no, we can't have that. We can't have that on any level. Don't matter what colour the people are that are getting attacked. Don't matter what colour the people are that are doing it. We just can't fucking have it. And if they have got justified scriptures which promote that they can do this, then we need to address it. And if they don't want to address it, then we'll fucking address it. And if they don't like it, tough shit. The thoughts and feelings should always come with protecting the children, not protecting the feelings of dickheads in a cult, which has been nothing but a cult from day one. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if the English was like, oh yeah, well, you know, Jimmy Savile's the perfect fucking man, the code of conduct. All the young men that are born in this country should be emulating Jimmy Savile. There'd be a problem, wouldn't there, realistically? Now, obviously, the things that have gone on in churches and priests, as Trilla was bringing up tonight or whatever, we've had all these discussions, we've all called it out. If it's an actual paedophile living on your street, they are going to get fucking levered. They are going to be moving the same night they are caught. The shit's going to be set on fire. They're going to get the beating of a lifetime. And it's accepted amongst the community. That's what you do. Now, in the Muslim community, not so much. Not so much. Because at the end of the day, it's justified, isn't it? It's justified in their sick, paedophile, racist ideology. Now, the problems that are just around the next corner, as enough people wake up to what's gone on, the turning of a blind eye to the most vile shit that has gone on in this country, people are going to react one way or the other, and it's all justified at the end of the day. There's nothing more important than our children and our future generations. A lot of the crimes that have gone on, have a read of Easy Meat, a lot of the crimes that have gone on would class as genocidal crimes, prevention of births. I don't like being graphic because it, do you know what I mean? It puts people off or whatever, but facts of the matter is prevention of births, things like putting a bottle into a child and then breaking the bottle, prevention of births. Now, I would only be a little graphic because people just think, oh, you know, as bad as it is, it's just rape. You know, I think that's what they just think, that it's just a case of a dirty old man taking advantage of a child and just having sex with her. No. This goes to sick, fucking depraved, demonic fucking levels of abuse happening to children, to the point where you're preventing births. Now, we have got sentences to deal with that, but yet they never get fucking used or whatever. Same as we've got 87,000 women and children in the UK which are requiring the services of the NHS to correct FGM problems which come from sick practices in sick ideologies. Now, we get to pay for all these fuck-ups, we get to pay for all the bills. Then on top of that, we get to pay for the influx of fucking people coming on boats. We've got case after case after case of people coming on boats, being here a couple of days, and then they're already on the free phones, sat in the free hotels, that the whatever, contacting children for sex. So when they say they've came here for a better life, what life is that they have come here for? Because they're not coming here and going, oh, what can we do? You know, can we try and do something good? Can we try and do some, I know we're not allowed to work, but we could do some charity work, or, you know, some unpaid things to show appreciation to the people of the country which have let us come here illegally. No. We're going to contact the fucking children of the people that have fucking let us come here, and we're going to try and fucking rape their children. That's what's happening. And I think we should be able to address that without silly little cunts saying, oh, you're racist, you're far right. The people that come out with that shit, I automatically think, are you a fucking paedophile yourself? Because that's what I'm trying to prevent, and that's what you're trying to smooth over and cover up. It is that simple. Now, I've never give a fuck who likes me, who doesn't like me, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's not important in the big scale of things, realistically. I've got enough people in real life that know me for who I am, what I'm about. I don't come online to make friends and join little shit communities. For me, I couldn't give a fuck about any of that shit. I use these platforms as a tool to have open, honest discussions, to improve things, to highlight certain things, to bring resolve to problems. The first fucking barrier that you have to get through is to have at least two parties which are willing to be open and honest, and that are willing and able to be able to call things for what they are. To get to the root of the problem, you have to address the root of the problem. You can't fuck around the edges of it and think you're going to deal with it. You have to deal with it from the root. Now, the root will always be the ideology which gives its followers the idea that they can do these things and be justified in a religion for doing so. They call it religion, I call it ideology. And it is only an ideology. The fact that the Muslims cannot separate church from state shows you clear as day. It's an ideology. It doesn't qualify to be a religion. For me, it dresses up as a religion. It gives it makes out to be a religion, but when you read that book, it literally reads more as a war manual than it would do a holy book. Now, it would be the same if it was the Jewish people or fucking Buddhists or any fucking other group that you want. If it was causing problems and it was coming from their direction, we would be outside there. Temples would be outside there. Holy places, etc. To deal with the root of the problem. It is that simple. The fact, and it is fact, that it's only coming from Islam, that's all you need to know realistically. I think it's pretty obvious when you've not got any Muslims, even the converts, which are quite happy trying to sell you their version of Islam. Oh, you know, anyone that does this, anyone that does that, they're not real Muslims. They don't understand the ideology which they have fucking opted into. I do. People like Tommy, they're not lying. Do you know what I mean? You can go and fact check these things for yourself. Once you're aware of the facts, it is what it is. You're armed with the facts and the evidence. And what you will find is the Muslims, whether they be born into it, whether they be converts to it, oh, they don't want to address it. They won't want to address the 109 verses. And those people that run around saying, oh, that, you know, the ones that do this and the ones that do that, they're not real Muslims. They are more part of the problem than anything else, realistically, because your lack of knowledge or lack of bollocks to be able to deal with it for what it is definitely part of the problem, because you then pass that stupid delusional fucking thoughts on to the left, which think they're fighting a good fight. Oh, we're against racism. Well, there is no racism, so what are you fighting? Would you not rather fight the racism that's going on to attack fucking vulnerable children in racist fucking attacks. So when Trilla said on a previous conversation, it got brought up again tonight, I said apparently on one of his shows, well I did, which is worse, the racist or a rapist? And Trilla said a racist rapist. Now, for those that know, there's been many occasions where dirty Muslim men have been raping non-Muslim girls and reading the Quran verses over it, calling them dirty white bitches, dirty white fucking all sorts of fucking shit or whatever. And it's all inspired from that book. It's all inspired from that ideology. The hate is very clear to see. Now, for those that say, no, these are not real Muslims, you are part of the problem. You are a massive part of the problem. For me personally, yeah, you can't really not see them as like traitors to their own people. Especially, well, when the converts, definitely traitors to your own people. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them, if you don't fucking know, then you don't know. But when you're being confronted by somebody that does know, and then your first reaction is to, oh, you're a racist, yeah, you are part of the problem. And I mean people like Becca. Now, on a personal thing, yeah, I like Becca. She seems nice enough. Seems like a decent person, if you like, or whatever. But then that ideology seems to taint the person, make them say and do the most fucked up and stupid shit to defend the fucking ideology, which to me is mad. Do you know what I mean? Especially when these people have got children of their own. It's like, what planet are you on where you think it's okay to defend some shit that you clearly know fuck all about? Do you know what I mean? You've got people like Becca, you've got people like Trilla that will literally kind of swear blind that these things didn't happen. Aisha wasn't fucking 6 or 9, she was 18 and all this other bullshit. Are these people seriously expecting anybody to take that shit seriously when you've got Islamic scholars that have been all over the world as imams being paid large amounts of money to go around the world spreading the message of Islam? People like Mufassal Islam that have been literally probably one of the most recognised fucking imams that has been all over the world, that has now decided, well, many years ago, to see things differently, see the actions of Islam turn into a rape epidemic and terrorism, etc. And even he, you know, has literally said, this is not the Islam that I thought it was, or whatever. You know, anyone can be fooled, blah blah blah. And he spent half of his life, do you know what I mean, spreading the word of Islam. Now he has to live in danger for pointing out the dangers of Islam. So who realistically are we going to hold, whose opinion are we going to hold higher? Trillas and Beckers, who realistically know fuck all. They know what they've been taught or told. Over somebody that actually knows every scripture inside out, the meanings of things, The narratives that are used of, oh, that was in wartime, blah blah blah. I'm not being funny, but when you've had people like Ghost saying justifying terrorism in the UK due to foreign policy, you've just kind of proved our point that different people from different situations, even people that have been born here, apparently Ghost was born here, don't know how that explains the accent, but apparently he was born here, and that's the opinion that Ghost has, that it basically justifies terrorism here due to foreign policy. Now, to me that's mad. That's somebody that's either been born here or brought here as a little baby and brought up in this country with Christian values of the country, obviously, not as a family thing or whatever, because, well, they're encouraged not to, aren't they? If you're going to speak to Christians and Jews and whatever, deceive them. You know, you can make out your friends, but, you know, make sure you hate them in your heart. Smile on your face, but hate them in your heart, to advance the ideology. Now, that moon doesn't look like it's been split in half at any point in time, personally. Now, I'm in a decent position where I know many Sikhs, so the opinion of one like Trilla is not really going to tarnish the group as a whole. But like I say, not many people are aware and can openly speak to people of different faiths, etc. A lot of people just tend to stick to their own communities, or if they do have a mixed community, they don't really speak about things or whatever. There's like a fear factor of bringing certain things up in discussion and whatnot due to political correctness mainly, and then silly little cunts putting labels on you, going, oh, you can't talk about this or you can't talk about that because I'm going to label you this or I'm going to label you that. So a lot of people just won't. Now, I don't give a fuck. I could not give two fucks. What's right is right, and whatever's not being addressed, I will address. It is that simple. Now, if the police was dealing with things head on, like they should do, without fear, without favour, then you wouldn't have, you know, there wouldn't be a void to fill. So you wouldn't need Tommy Robinson, you wouldn't need Britain First. If the rape epidemic was dealt with harshly from the first time it happened here or whatever, then there would have never been a Tommy Robinson, there would have never been a Britain First, there would be no need for Sikhs awareness, etc, etc, etc. Now, the fact that there is, and the fact that the police have admitted to turning a blind eye for 40 years plus, and have had to admit to failures and fuck-ups to the victims and the survivors and the families, etc, and the communities as a whole, tells you all you need to know, realistically. And much like the Sikhs had to deal with it themselves, I think, to be honest, it's only a matter of time before the English community, whether they be black, white or anything else, the British community rather, which could be any colour of the rainbow, there's a lot of people awake, there's a lot of people calling things out. It doesn't help that when people from their own community, people like Lubna, actually call out the bad apples and try to clean things up and whatever, it doesn't help when they're attacked and they're called sellouts and this, that and the other. So the people that are calling her a sellout, realistically, what is it that you're saying then? that because she's calling out the groomers and the terrorists and whatever, she's selling out. That would imply that you're for the grooming gangs, the rape gangs, that you're for the terrorism, blowing up little children at music events, etc. Because other than that, what she sell? How she sell out? So it's problematic whichever way you look at it, realistically, isn't it? They're not willing to be questioned and critiqued by people outside of the group. They're not willing to be questioned and critiqued or call out the bad apples from within the community. So realistically, you're not really leaving many other options other than people taking matters into their own hands. Trilla's just muddying the water by showing people that are not clued up or whatever that, oh well, you know, it may well be them all. Anyone that's fucking appears to be Muslim or Indian or Sikh or Hindu or whatever, well, they could all be the same when they're all on a panel together surrounded by other extremists. They're all openly racist, all openly hate the British, the English rather, and it begs the question, what the fuck are you doing here? Especially Trilla, you're a millionaire, aren't you? If you hate the country that much and it's so shit and it's full of all these racists, what are you doing here? Sell your shit up, fuck off back to India. Jobs are good, isn't it? Why are you still here? Same with Ghost. You're apparently all these businesses and whatever. Such a racist place. Sell up and fuck off back to Pakistan. Nobody's keeping you here. You're not bringing anything good to the country. Not being funny, but when you're turning a blind eye to the mass fucking rape epidemic that's going on in this country and making out, oh, anyone that does anything bad, they're not a real Muslim, you're not contributing anything other than contributing to the problem. Now, you can like it, you can lump it, I honestly couldn't give a fuck. My thoughts and feelings are always going to go to the victims and the survivors of the people that live in this country, which have allowed nearly 200 types of people here, and we all generally kind of can get along and this, that and the other. We've only had one group bringing us rape epidemic and terrorism. Yes, there will always be rapists in every community. Yes, in a white country, majority white country, the majority of the rapists, just like the burglars and the car thieves and any other crime you want to mention, will generally be majority white. Trilla didn't seem to like that. That said, well, if you take that same thought process to India, the most of the rapists are going to be Indian brown men like yourself. He didn't seem to like that. He didn't even seem to like the fact that it described him as brown. Oh, I'm not brown. Well, you are. I've seen you on video, I've seen you on pictures. You're definitely brown. I don't see why that would be something to be offended by. It's weird. It's proper weird. But it's a weird situation, isn't it? Now, I don't think there's really too much I can add to that. I think it was cut short. I turned up for beef and left hungry. So, I don't know. If there's going to be a part 2 or not, I'm not too sure. Trilla's quite the emotional wreck when he wants to be. Quite triggered tonight. And whether there'll be a part 2 or not, it's not really important to me personally. Again, it would have been more of a thing for Trilla to clarify a few things, show people kind of what he's about, you know, what was fake, what was real, what was fucking method acting, etc. That would have been good for him, not for me. Do you know what I mean? I've stood on my principles regardless. I've not wavered, I've not bent for anybody. I've said what I've said from the beginning, and I'm still saying it to this day. And I've done so without being racist. And I will continue to do so without being racist, because at the end of the day, like I said to Trilla tonight, when you call somebody a racist and they're not, you may as well be calling them a fucking paedophile or whatever else, because it's just as bad. It is literally just as bad. If you are a member of a multicultural family and a member of multicultural circles, whether it be personal life, business life, etc., calling someone a racist, you may as well be calling them a paedophile. It is just as bad, in my opinion. Now, as you will see with the first premiere that I put out tomorrow, I think it was the first discussion I had with Trilla. See, he's trying to spoon feed the thing of, oh, I was just blagging it, I was doing this, I was doing that. I was just like kind of infiltrating the right, trying to blag him that it was all this, that and the other. But as you will see, do you know what I mean? It was himself being baited by myself as to, fucking hell, this is what Ghost is saying about Moham Singh. What do you think about that, Trilla? Have you got out to say about that, Trilla? So, yeah. There's one person leading somebody else, but if Trilla wants to believe it's a different way than that, that's up to him. People can choose to believe whatever they want to believe. Now, like I say, I'm going to put the first one out tomorrow. Can't be asked putting different titles, so it's just going to be Spit or Swallow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc, etc. So people can choose to spit or swallow whatever it is that they're seeing for themselves. Like I say, a lot of people don't watch Trillas. Do you know what I mean? For their own reasons, because they think X, Y or Z about Trilla due to the things that he said and done along the way. Now, all I was doing was giving Trilla an opportunity to show his true colours, show what he's actually about when he's on his own, not in a little jihadist fucking community or whatever. It's mad how they all had a problem with him when he had a drink, when he was critiquing certain things, but he can be as drunk as he wants when he's on Ghost now, can't he? And no one says shit. Funny that, isn't it? Now, don't get me wrong, I was always hopeful that Trilla would, you know, hopefully join people on the right side of history or whatever. Because you don't want to see people get dragged down, especially when they come from a decent community themselves, and it's making other people look bad, to the point where you've now got Sikh girls, well, Sikh women being raped and told that they shouldn't be. At that point, you would think anyone with a rational mind, you would think that would be the point where they go, right, okay, I kind of need to set the example somewhat and not be okay with these things, and show that there is a clear divisional line between Muslims and Sikhs, and we're not all the same, blah blah blah. That would have been my thought process if I was Trilla. I mean, I think he's 14, he's not had any children yet. If he's going to have children, you know, it's 50-50 chance it could end up being girls, isn't there, realistically? Is this the environment you want your children to be brought up in? I wouldn't have thought so. Are you going to want to sell up and fuck off back to India? I wouldn't have thought so. So, yeah. I would have thought it'd be more logical to clean up the situation and show that our people are nothing to do with those people. We've got very different ideologies, and we've not got 109 problematic verses. We've not got anything in our ideology which promotes hate, racism, one group above another, etc. But that's just me, do you know what I mean? Now, like I say, when you don't believe in mythological creatures and mythological fucking gods and whatever, I think, to be honest, you can assess things a lot better because you've not got anything tainting your thought process or whatever. You can just be open and honest. You can look at the scriptures around whatever ideology and whatever, and you can come up with your own answers. You can go and speak to the people from that ideology and see how open and honest they want to be about things, or what they want to be cagey about, what they don't want to answer, what they want to deny at all costs, despite it making them look disingenuous and stupid. Do you know what I mean? You can only do what you can do. I think you can do that better when you're not associated to any particular cult, faith, group, etc. So, yeah. Now, like I say, only time will tell as to where these things are going to move forward to, etc. What's going to unfold, who's going to be targeted, etc. You know, for all we know, there could be a massive influx of Sikh women now being attacked and all threw into the same basket of these are all the shit cunts that are, you know, raping our children, etc. Maybe they're getting what some sick cunts would see as a taste of their own medicine, where, well, it's fine, you know, it's fine when it's our girls, let's see what it's like when it's your girls. Now, I hope that isn't the case. I hope there is no more further cases, but we don't know what's going to go on. We don't know what's going to unfold. We don't know what people's thought processes are, because people are discouraged from speaking out and having open, honest conversations because they're highlighted, the families get doxed, they're forever doing the 999 fingers, grass into anything and everything which they can do, trying to target your jobs, trying to target your children, labelling you things that you're not. Just the usual shit, innit, realistically. So, not many people want to speak out. The ones that do speak out, you've got to be a little bit, you've got to have some balls about you or whatever, and you've got to stick to the facts and the evidence so you don't end up committing a crime. So, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'll always continue to wake people up to dangerous ideologies. I won't take people like Trilla as a benchmark to anything, because realistically, I think he only gives a fuck about himself. Do you know what I mean? Very chauvinistic. Doesn't seem to respect women whatsoever, even from his own community. Not being funny, but you can't sit with the people on Ghost Channel shitting all over people and whatever, when you know full well it was that community that committed so many fucking rapes of the people of your community. If you actually have any morals yourself, realistically. It doesn't, them two things don't they don't really match, do they? So yeah, it's a bit of a mad one now for me personally. I was willing to give Trilla a chance to try and clean up his act somewhat and show people he's not the scumbag, which quite a lot of people think that he is. Yeah. Now, like I say, for me, it's a win-win situation because we're talking about the topics which need to be talked about anyway. We're getting the perspective of somebody which identifies as a Sikh, and it could have gone either way. Do you know what I mean? Trilla could have just been stuck to his principles and his actual opinions. He could have not been shook, and he would have actually got a bit of respect across the board. Things don't happen overnight. I mean, as soon as Trilla stumbled up the first hurdles, you had Babs and Jupiter and all these other daft cunts shitting all over Trilla and said, look, he's just being bullied or whatever. If you can't see that he's being bullied and threatened and this, that and the other, that's your problem or whatever. You're not seeing it from his point of view. Now, is that the case today or whatever? Has someone contacted either a member of family or his temple or whatever? All the threats that was made, has any of it come to fruition? Possibly, I don't know. But he's definitely bending over backwards and accommodating the extremist mindset, and he's definitely displaying his open racism and hate of the English people, which, funnily enough, himself and Ghost wish to identify as. Now, how deep do the delusions run where you've got brown people from Pakistan and India, which was born here or whatever, saying that they're English? You can't argue DNA. You can, but you look like a delusional cunt by doing so, don't you? I don't get the problem. What's wrong with being what you are, British? There's nothing wrong with being British. There's many people which identify as being British. It's not like a fucking second-rate citizenship, is it, realistically? Now, like I say, I'm going to put the link to what's just happened earlier on this morning on Trillas, and then tomorrow I'm going to do the premiere of our first discussion, and so on and so on and so on. Now, people can watch it, you cannot watch it, you can put an opinion, you cannot have an opinion. It's neither here nor there, realistically. It's more of an opportunity for Trilla to examine his own words, because when Trilla has a drink, he seems to rely back on that, saying, oh, I don't know, can't remember, I was pissed. Well, that's fine. That's why these things are recorded and can be put back out at a moment's notice. And then you can evaluate the situation a little bit better, maybe. Now, like I say, we covered loads. We even took discussions that happened on Ghost and then carried on Trillas. Times like when Ghost has admitted that, yeah, the people that are coming here in hotels should be kept in detention centres, so they can't get to the people of the country, and the people of the country which are waking up angry can't get to the people that have come in here illegally. There's quite a few topics that was discussed, and there is some gems in there or whatever. So yeah, it'd be good to revisit a couple of things couple of conversations that have been had and whatever on the wind down to the end of the year or whatever. Now, I did say there was only really one more conversation on the cards with Trilla, which was going to unfold. I would consider what happened today part one of maybe two, if Trilla can get his emotions together and not be so triggered and actually have a conversation instead of trying to pander to people that despise him and despise his people. I've also got conversations with what was his name now? The Muslim guy that Trilla was having issues with, and he was quite proudly telling him, your people, Trilla, are not liked in London, blah blah blah. What the fuck was his name? Something Films, I can't fucking remember. What the fuck was it? But yeah, he was making it very clear that people like you, the Sikhs, blah blah blah, you're not welcome in London, you're hated, blah blah blah, this, that and the other. So there's been loads of points where Trilla should have hit reality and think, which side is my bread buttered on? But he seems to have missed all of that and ended up back with him, which is tragic but funny at the same time or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't use Trilla as an example of Sikhs by any measure. The majority of Sikhs seem to be good, decent, honest people that you would be proud to have as a British citizen or whatever. So yeah, all you can do is hope that people don't get misguided into thinking that Trilla's an example of anything other than a shit cunt, which just happened to be born in that ideology, that group of people, which are generally good people. Right, I think I'm going to leave it there. Hope everyone's good, hope everyone's well. Christmas is around the corner. I don't think I'm going to be on much, to be honest. I wanted to have this conversation with Trilla, obviously, just to kind of wrap it up or whatever, before I put out the conversations which we've had previous to that, which was always going to happen, which was always going to be the way, regardless, whichever way it went. You know, if Trilla would have turned out to be a decent person, an actual person where you describe him as a patriot, a good citizen of the country, etc., you know, I would have still wanted to put him out anyway to show, you know, these are the things we agree on, blah blah blah, these are the minor things that we don't agree on, etc. So either way they would have got put out anyway. I'm not like going, oh well, you don't agree with me now, Trilla, so I'm going to put out. No, it's not like that. They would have got put out regardless. It's a opportunity for people to see people in a different light at the end of the day, whether that be Trilla, whether that be me, whether that be the conversation in general. Maybe they've heard it but not thought about it from different positions, etc. So yeah, I think that's about it. Look after each other, stay safe, catch you soon, and if I'm not online before Christmas, have a nice Christmas, enjoy, look after each other and stay safe.